Hello there, welcome back to Beauty Bee and welcome to a 2 looks 1 palette using the Colourpop Cherry Crush. This is a relatively recent acquisition on my part. I think I got this in the month of March, maybe very late February, and I've had a chance to play around with it a little bit. I have clearly made 2 semi-complete looks using this palette, as well as pulled it in to several other looks that I've done. So today I'll be showing you 2 looks. This is the second one. The first one is a little bit more pink, and then at the end I will share my thoughts on this palette. So if that sounds interesting, I hope you will consider liking and subscribing and stick around for the rest of the video. Okay, I think today I want to go with this pink all over the lid. So I'm just going to start with my finger and we'll see how that goes. Oh, that is so pink. Wow. I should take a look at Colourpop's website and see which of these shades are listed as pressed pigments, because I feel like there's so much color to all of these that I suspect many of these are pressed pigments and not technically for use around the eye area. Now, obviously, I'm going to use them around the eye, and I'm not terribly worried about staining. I have experienced a little bit of staining with one of these shades. I think it was this hot pink. But that was when I applied it, again, using my finger over pretty much this entire area of my eye, so that was kind of to be expected. I was really layering that on. I'm just going to use my color switch on my finger. I know that's not really what it's for, but it does a pretty good job of just making sure that I don't leave little fingerprints of hot pink all over my face. So I think I'm going to start setting up my crease with this Cherry Stem shade. It is the, I would say, probably the most neutral shade of the bunch. And we'll just see how that functions. That makes an okay transition shade for me. I think I'm going to want to add something a little more to my crease though. But this is such a nice shade to have. I feel like it would be not difficult, but not super easy, especially for beginners, to create a full look with this palette if you didn't have this Cherry Stem shade. Okay. So now for a little bit of depth in my outer corner, I'm going to bring in just a shader brush, and I think I'm going to go into Juicy Juicy, which I do not believe I have used before. This is what I would consider like a black cherry shimmer shade. And as is seemingly always the case with this palette, there's just not as much contrast between the colors as I want there to be. I mean, they do blend nicely into one another, but that's because they're the same color practically. They just don't look that different on the eye. Okay, I'm not going to get what I want out of that shade, so let's go for the big guns and use Take a Bite, which is the matte purple. Okay. There we have some definition, some difference between some colors. Thank goodness. So I'm just using this in the outer V. I'm kind of tracing it a little bit along my crease, taking it a little bit further in my crease than I do on the lid. Yeah, it's looking pretty messy right now, but we'll fix that. So to do so, I'm going to go into a clean crease brush, I'm just going to blend over everything. Okay. That's still looking messy, but we're going to add some color under the eye. I'm just not sure what color is going to go under the eye yet. But I'm kind of thinking that I am going to use that same mixture of Juicy Juicy and Just Bite just on a smudger brush. I'm kind of filling in that whole area. I have my questions about this look. I feel like once I add some liquid liner, which was my intention all along, that'll look a little bit better. If it's not, I can always, you know, just do some targeted makeup removal right here. Okay. I really wish, and I don't know that I ever thought I would say this, I almost wish there was a pressed glitter in this palette just so I could put something in the inner corner and feel like it really pops. But you know what? Let's dip into a Super Shock. I think I'm going to use this Ice Dream from Colourpop, which is a white with quite a bit of purple shimmer. I'm going to put that just in the inner corner. I feel like I need something there to balance out what I have going on the rest of my face, and I'm not willing to put a hot, hot pink right there. I think I need to take it in just a little further on this side. And now let's try that liquid liner and see if that helps matters. I will probably disappear for a second while I do this because goodness knows I never manage to stay in frame while I put on liquid liner. Yeah, that didn't really help matters a whole lot, did it? I mean, I do think it looks better than it did, but not good. So I'm cleaning off the brush that I used for my transition shade, and we're just going to see if I can blend that out a little bit further. I still feel like that's just a little much. I mean, it's blending nicely and everything, but I just don't love it. I think I'm gonna go grab a makeup wipe. So when I said makeup wipe, what I really meant was cotton round with makeup remover. I'm just gonna run it right along my lower lash line. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know this is basically how I often used to get that sort of wing shape. Was just over applying to start with and then cleaning it up a little bit. gotta say, it is effective. I don't think it's the best way to apply your makeup, but I do really like how this turned out. So I'm going to do the rest of my face and then we will check in and see how things turned out. And here we have the final look. I chose to keep things pretty monochromatic with my lips. This is actually a mixture of a lip liner, which is, oh, I actually put something away, shocking. This is from Vintage and it is the shade Mocha. It's kind of a your lips but more brown, more deep, at least, you know, on me. Obviously that's going to differ person to person, as well as Revlon Sassy Mauve and Revlon Cherries in the Snow. This was a little bit too nude for this look. This was too red, but together I think they actually really do complement the eyeshadow nicely. And then on the cheeks, I'm wearing quite a bit of this Wet n Wild Hello Halo liquid highlighter in the shade Halographic, which is a white purple. It's that shine you can see, as well as a Bare Minerals pretty basic pink blush. And then, I almost forgot this, I used quite a bit of powder highlights. Also put quite a bit of a mixture of these two highlighters, the white purple, actually very similar to the liquid version, as well as the pink. I think you can tell these are pretty obviously my two favorite shades in the palette. I just took that on a big fluffy powder brush, the kind you would usually use maybe for bronzer, but I think even more often for sort of an all-over setting powder. And I just took a mixture of those two and dusted it over my cheeks to help blend out my blush, and then I used the leftover on my forehead because I wanted to feel glowy today. I am overall quite happy with this look. I mean, it's not subtle, it's not something I would wear to work, but I do think that this pink is bringing out my eyes in a really pretty way, and I like how monochromatic it is. I like how everything feels tied together. And you know what? Even though I cannot recommend the just taking off part of your makeup with a not a makeup wipe, a cotton round strategy to everyone, I gotta say it worked out pretty well for me today. So hopefully tomorrow's look will go just as well. See you then. All right, it's the next day and we are back again for look number 2. I think that today I'm going to, rather than focus on exclusively or very close to exclusively shades from this palette, use it how I probably will in the future as a companion. I think that I'm going to build out my crease, my outer corner, maybe even parts of my lid with shades from this palette, and then use a super shock over most of my lid to transform the colors and just to give myself some brightness and some lightness to this look, because wow, everything in here is very mid-toned to a lighter deep shade. So let's get started. I think I want to focus on this bright coral shade. So I'm going to go into some of that, and I'm just going to set up my crease. And I might actually put that all over my lid. I haven't fully decided yet. Just using a pretty small crease brush or blender brush to do that. I tend to use those words pretty interchangeably because I'm almost always trying to blend out my crease. But I think that technically they call this a blending brush. Yes, small tapered blending. Okay. don't think the actual eyeshadow is even, but on my eyes with how unevenly hooded they are, I think that's looking pretty even. Next, yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick with that same shade and go over most of my lid. I'm gonna leave probably the inner third bare. I mean, just look at that color though. That is intense. And it really blended pretty nicely for how matte and how bold this color is. I'm pretty impressed with the quality on this palette. I'm just not wild about how it performs as a supposedly complete color story by itself. You know. Okay, next up, I am going to, well, I thought I was going to use a different brush, but I think I'm just going to use a smudger brush and go into this red shade, the shade Black Cherry, not the color that I would call Black Cherry in this palette, but it's okay, they didn't ask me. I'm going to deepen up the outer corner just a bit. And again, like I did yesterday, I'm running into the problem that there's really not enough difference between these shades to provide the kind of dimension that I want. But at least in this case, it's fine because I'm intending to bring in a super shock. But that could be annoying for some people, I think. So I'm going to clean off my fingers, clean off my brush, and let's go in with this super shock. This is from the Hocus Pocus collab, and this is the shade To Be Young and Beautiful Again. It is a peachy shade. I think it will look really pretty over this red. I think it will transform it nicely because this red is kind of a lot. Geese and my neighbor's garage door are the bane of my filming existence. That is looking really nice, actually. I quite like how that gold is transforming things for comparison. Now on to the other side. You know, I'm taking quite a while to do this because I'm talking and I'm distracted, but I think that I probably could do this look in 10 minutes, start to finish. So I could actually do this on a day where I was going to work or something, and I don't think it would be a problem. Now, I think I want to branch out a little bit from the reds, and though I'm going to use this cerise shade along just a little bit of my lower lash line. Oof. I don't know quite what I did there, but my eye did not like that. And I'm going to clean it off. And I think I'm going to go into Sweet Like, which is the pink shade, and finish off my lower lash line with that. I don't want to bring a ton of stark red that far in, so I think that pink works a little bit better. I also think that it marries a little bit better with the peachy gold shade to have a shimmer rather than another matte. So I'm going to take actually a shader brush. We're just going for it today with which brush was being used for what purpose. And I'm just diffusing that line a little bit further. I think that's actually looking pretty nice. And now I'm going to go back in, well, I guess I haven't actually used this brush, but it's on the other side of my smudger brush. I'm going to go back in with a crease brush and just get a hint of this cherry stem shade. I mean, I'm just tapping in, and I'm going to go over my transition crease area. I think that shade, that coral shade, actually blended out pretty nicely by itself, but there's no harm in just making sure. And with that, I think that is the eyeshadow. So like I did yesterday, I'm going to get the rest of my makeup on, and then we'll talk about the final look. So here we have the final look. What I ended up doing was, obviously I put mascara on both my top and bottom lashes. I also decided that there really wasn't quite enough depth to anchor this look, so I brought out this Araceli Ojos Perfectos Gel Pencil Eyeliner in bronze. It's kind of a deeper bronze, and I put that pretty tight over my upper lash line. Not tight lining, just keeping it pretty close to the lash line, and I put it in my waterline as well, and I think that added some much needed definition to my lash line. The mascara that I'm using right now is Lights Camera Lashes, and I think that it is a great mascara for people who want to look like they have naturally nice lashes, but I don't think that it is a fabulous mascara for this kind of eye look, where I think to balance things out you really do need quite a bit of definition, because you know you have coral and orange eyeshadow all over. Then on my lips I have some of this Tarte lipstick. I'm knocking things over left and right. I need to get this video done. This Tarte lipstick in Bare Bud, it is essentially like a tinted lip balm. It's a light nude shade, and then I mixed in a little bit of this Joa liquid lipstick, which I think is looking quite nice. I don't even remember what lip pencil I went in with, but I just tried to define my lip line a little bit more with it, because my lips are just so swollen and chapped that I don't feel like I really have a lip line anymore. Great. For blush, I used a ridiculous amount of blush, honestly. I used some of this Pure Lace BB Glow blush, which is in the shade Cool Mauve. I don't even know if you can see any more of that, because then I followed up with a mixture of these two blushes from the Balm. These are Balm Springs and Balm Beach. I also ended up using a mixture of Balm Desert and Balm Beach as a bronzer, which I put in here, up on my forehead. I tried to contour my jawline a little bit with that. I don't know how well that worked out. And because that all was just not enough, apparently, I also used some of my cheek leaders, California, just popped that right on my cheeks. So I don't even know what blush is responsible for what part of this look anymore. For those keeping track at home, that was 4 blushes that I decided to apply today. And then I also have some highlight, which is Mary Lou, which if you haven't seen Mary Luminizer before, here's what it looks like. really pretty. And I'm happy with this look. I overall have complicated feelings regarding this little Cherry Crush palette. I purchased this as essentially a singles bundle. I had noticed a few times that I wanted something that was a little bit of a brighter pink or a red. I don't even know that I had more than maybe one sort of deep red eyeshadow, more like a burgundy, in my collection when I was building palettes for my singles. So when I saw this on sale, I decided I would go for it. If you want this for the purpose of building complete looks from this palette alone, I think you're going to find it pretty limiting. I mean, the lightest shade in this palette is Sweet Like, and the deepest shade is Take a Bite. And while you can get some decent definition from those two, even between Sweet Like and what I would consider the second deepest shade, which is Black Cherry, there isn't quite enough difference in tone there. I don't think you can really build that kind of dimension that most people, I think, are looking for from an eyeshadow palette. They're all nice quality shades though. I think that they blend pretty nicely. They definitely pack a pigment punch, and I think I'm going to continue to get decent use out of this palette going forward. I just don't think that I will be doing a whole lot of looks just solely using this palette. But then again, I personally didn't really expect to. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Please consider liking and subscribing if you did. Let me know what you think of these eye looks. And if you have this palette, I would love to hear what you do with it. If you found a way to get a nice variety of looks, I would be really interested in hearing that, because I'm kind of just running up against the wall of my creativity combined with this color story. I don't feel like there's a lot I can do there. Anyway, thanks again, and I really hope that I will see you all next time. Bye!